Hallelujah! The word of Ukraine's foreign minister as the United States finally passed that long-delayed and much-needed aid package for Ukraine's fight against Russia. And it seems divine intervention didn't just strike Dmytro Kuleba. Colleagues of the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, says he prayed for guidance on the issue. That and some pretty stiff intelligence briefings from the experts. And President Zelensky says speed now is of the essence. His army chief says their situation on the Eastern Front has, quote, worsened significantly, while the United States Army commander in Europe says Putin's force is now 15% larger than when it invaded 2 years ago. And here's President Biden.
This package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security, in our own security.
And of course, the 6-month delay has cost countless Ukrainian lives and territory. My first guest, Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, joins me from Kyiv, warning that the era of peace in Europe is over. Foreign Minister, welcome to the program from Kyiv. And I just wanted to ask you on this morning, you must feel very relieved, right? It's been 6 to 7 months of waiting anxiously.
It's good to have America back. It's better when good things happen later than do not happen at all. But I do agree that this package should have been passed much earlier, and things would turn differently on many accounts. But now we are working on preparing ourselves to receive the first package of aid announced by President Biden. Our soldiers on the front line are waiting for it. Our society received kind of a morale boost. And it's also an important message to all our partners, a message from Washington that the struggle continues, the fight for freedom and democracy goes on.
Can I ask you specifically, if you can, tell me what are the most important things you're waiting for?
Well, when you fight a war, you need everything. There is no detail that you do not need in fighting the war. We need air defense to protect our cities, and we need artillery ammunition and artillery systems to protect our soldiers and to liberate our territories. These are the two key elements. What we do not see on this package is a battery of patriots, but we keep working with the US administration on mobilizing more batteries from other countries in short perspective.
Let me ask you to react to what senators like J.D. Vance, certain Republicans who oppose sending aid to Ukraine, they basically say, do the math. In other words, you can't, it just doesn't add up. Ukraine needs more soldiers. It needs more material than the US can provide. What's your answer to that?
It is true that the key to victory of Ukraine is a united front of all countries. We saw that in the meantime, while the Congress was debating the law, Germany was making powerful decisions. Other European countries were announcing important aid packages. So United States are not alone in supporting Ukraine. In fact, we see that European countries are increasing their support to Ukraine. Ukraine itself increased its own production of weapons and will continue to ramp up its production. And the question to the members of Congress that you refer to is simple. If all of these countries are united around the goal of Ukraine's victory, maybe it's because they see that this victory is important, is also a matter of their security and prosperity. And whatever the price of supporting Ukraine today is, the price of fixing the world if Russia wins in Ukraine will be much higher.
Do you expect a massive Russian attempt to take advantage of the window before this aid gets to you?
Well, everyone in the world should remember that every delay in sending assistance to Ukraine is compensated by the bravery and sacrifice of our soldiers. But this is not kind of compensation that not you personally, but our partners should be willing us to pay, because these are real people and their lives matter. And everything we lost in between last autumn and now is because our soldiers did not have enough of weapons. They have no shortage of bravery and the will to sacrifice themselves for their country.
And now the issue of conscription, of lowering the draft age, you're trying to get young men back, those who fled, and the fighting. How is that going? Do you expect to have many more people drafted to the front?
The parliament passed the law setting, in fact, a couple of laws setting up the new framework for conscription in Ukraine. And our army will receive new soldiers and officers to fight because what is at stake here is the survival of a nation, the survival of a sovereign country in the 21st century. And we know our history. Those who refused to fight for Ukraine with arms, with weapons in their arms, in the beginning of the 20th century, when we lost our independence to Bolshevik Russia, became afterwards victims of Stalin's repressions, of Stalin's genocide against the Ukrainian people, we fell victims of Russification of Ukraine. We all know what follows when we lose, and therefore we will keep fighting. What we do need is our partners to firmly believe that Ukraine's victory is attainable, and second, to have no fear towards Putin, because Putin is a political animal who can sense fear, and when he does, he becomes more aggressive. If he sees the strengths, if he senses the strengths, as it was recently demonstrated by the Congress, he will be forced to step back.
And finally, I want to ask you whether you notice and plan to take part in a mission to persuade Trump. Let's just say he wins again. We've seen quite a few Western leaders have gone to America to meet with him privately, and we're told it was to encourage him, to encourage Congress to pass this law, and they brought intelligence and all the rest of it. We understand Baltic leaders, Polish leaders are also trying to persuade Trump and Trump's allies that this must continue, this aid for Ukraine, and saying, that this is also good for America because it creates American jobs. Are you, in a way, pleasantly surprised that this Congress, this MAGA group in Congress, passed this law, passed this bill?
I said from the very beginning, in an interview to you, by the way, when you asked me whether we have Plan B, if the Congress does not pass the law, I said we don't, we only have Plan A. And if I'm not mistaken, following that interview, I was heavily criticized for making no plans B. But our strategy is always to get the best for Ukraine, even when very few believe that we will succeed in the end. So we had Plan A, the successful vote in the Congress. In the end, we got it. And there was an enormous amount of effort of many people in many countries behind that result. But this is how you win wars. If you have Plan B, make no mistake, you will end up with Plan B. But this is not what will save Ukraine. Ukraine will win only if it focuses together with its partners on Plan A. And this is what we will be doing, irrespective of the name of the President of the United States or the names of the members of Congress of the United States or any other country in the world.
Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba, thank you for joining me from Kyiv.